Astrobot, who needs it? Black Myth Wukong, pfft, I guffaw at those games. What game do I buy, play, and then talk about on YouTube? Rugrats. Hell yeah. The original Rugrats series is one of my childhood shows. I have so much nostalgia for those old Rugrats episodes, and I love a good nostalgic throwback game, so I was looking forward to Adventures in Gameland. Finally came out, picked it up, played it, and for the most part, it's pretty fun. The game blends that nostalgic, retro, throwback feel of the side-scroller platformer games with the charm of the original Rugrats series really, really well. It was really cool just playing a new game in 2024 that just felt like it was from a completely different era. It's a throwback to that time in practically every way. The sound effects, the level design. Is it new for a platformer? No, it is not. It is absolutely a Super Mario reskin with Rugrats characters. It conforms to the formula and the structure of those games, but in a deliberate way, because it's obviously a love letter to that bygone era of these kinds of games for the old Nintendo systems from way back in the day. You can even play the game in 8-bit graphics, which I'm not gonna lie, I spent the vast majority of my playtime playing it in the 8-bit graphics mode because it just felt right. It's a love letter to the original Rugrats series as well. It really captures that childlike sense of imagination. Like in the original Rugrats series, the babies would do something very simple like go to the attic, and for them it's a big adventure and they're imagining it on a much bigger scale because they're babies and their imagination's growing. Each level is exactly like that. You know, they go to a sand pit and they're in the desert and they're fighting snakes and stuff. They go to the backyard and it's this big Donkey Kong-esque jungle adventure. That classic Rugrats charm was just a perfect fit for a retro throwback side-scroller platforming game, and they blended the two of them really, really well, and I enjoyed it for the most part. And I say for the most part because I should have clarified this at the beginning. I am not a wizard when it comes to side-scroller games. The last side-scroller platforming game I remember putting a lot of time into was New Super Mario Bros. Wii back in the day, and I found that game quite hard the further it went on. And I'm not gonna lie, there were some segments and levels in this game that I found deceptively hard. Some of these level designs combined with some of the enemy types, where the enemies are placed, where platforms are placed, and trying to navigate around certain enemy types, it it made me more annoyed than I probably should have been at a Rugrats game. So if you're like me and you're not that well versed in these kinds of games, you might find yourself surprisingly struggling in a few sections. The last level especially, my god, that is brutal. But if you're a wizard with side scrollers, you can breeze through this game in like 3 hours. It's not that big of a game, to be honest. In fact, it's 860 megabyte of a download. It's not even a gigabyte big. And it's only £20 on the PlayStation Store. Everywhere else I've seen, like Amazon, Argos, or a game, it's like £35. Yeah, PlayStation Store being the cheapest option to buy a game. This game is targeted at a very specific demographic, people who were born in the 1990s or were around in that time when these kinds of games were being made and are nostalgic for those kind of games, and for kids who watched Rugrats in their young years. If you fall into that very specific category, you'll enjoy Rugrats Adventures in Gameland. I was born in 1997 and I watched a lot of Rugrats as a young kid, so I enjoyed being on a new Rugrats adventure. I liked all the Easter eggs and references to some of the old Rugrats episodes and some of the Rugrats films as well. And I also just enjoyed a nice throwback to an old style of game that are not really made that much anymore.